It's weird. It's back with another one. It's 1 a.m., so I'm gonna have to keep my voice down. I think maybe not. Um, I tend to uphold two contradicting beliefs at the same time. Such as believing that an act, a musical act, shouldn't put elements in their music that they can't replicate in a live setting. And then on the other hand, I'll hear bare music. I'll hear bit by that I mean like bare bones music. Like the guitarist is playing the guitar. Say there's like four members in the band. The guitarist is playing the guitar. The other guitarist is playing the guitar. In the case of there being two guitars, the drummer is playing the drums, and then the bass is playing the basses. I'll hear that, right? I'll hear music that doesn't have any additional elements that a band can't replicate. Or let me just make sure that the laptop doesn't switch off. um yeah, I'll hear that and I'll go, this doesn't sound full. So I'm torn regarding to music. I don't know why I kind of find myself in these gray areas whenever it comes to music. On one hand, I hate whenever musicians add in those little sound effects, especially like bands, dude, bands that'll go out there and who supposedly play the music that's in play the sounds that's in their music, right? I'll hear that and I'll go, okay, you can't replicate that in a live setting. Then at the same time, on the other hand, I'll go, okay, this is honest, this is, true. You guys are playing the exact thing that's in the song in a live setting, but it sounds um empty. Both in the case of the final track and the performance of the song, right? And I know what you might be thinking, dude, it doesn't matter as long as the song is great. And yeah, at the end of the day, what you want to do is produce great music. But for some reason, I kind of, you know, battle with just landing at a, you know, coming to a decision on how I feel about this. They're not being posers. They're just trying to make good music. They're trying to make the song full by adding little elements that they can't necessarily replicate in a live setting. You know, it's very purist of me. It's very purist of me to have this kind of stance, and I'm not even good enough to have this sort of stance. To be honest with you, like technically, like with my guitar or music making in general, I'm not good enough to have this sort of ideology, or to even uphold it in a very you know challenged way, because it's not the only belief that I'm trying to uphold. Anyway, my thoughts on playing music, guitar, you know, live music, just being a musician, they fluctuate, right? My thoughts fluctuate. And today I'm kind of for being a musician. Tomorrow I might not be. Next week I might not be. The week after that I might be. they fluctuate, right? And I hate that. But it is what it is. Today, I'm all for being a guitarist. I was having so much fun. I say today, but it's 1 a.m. now. A couple of hours ago, I was having so much fun in my room just playing guitar. So much fun. You know, to a point where I yet again daydreamed about a future where I continue playing guitar. You know, because I'll really have thoughts where I'm like, dude, fuck this shit, man. Really? I'll just sort of like throw my guitar into the corner, slam my guitar into the ground on some, dude, fuck this whole operation. Screw guitar, screw music, screw all of this, you know? So today I'm in a good mood regarding that. And yeah, as I do, I got to daydreaming about what I could potentially how I could potentially go about playing music in the future. You know, I thought about how I could maybe instead of recruiting a second guitarist, because that's something I considered heavily, because I do like music with two guitars. Instead of recruiting a second guitarist, I thought about maybe getting a pianist, because I do, at the same time, I do like rock music with, you know, keys in them, you know? I like rock music with keys in it. Can't give you any examples right now, but yeah, I do like that sound. I do like that fusion of instrumentation. I think it's cool. I think it would be a lot harder to find a keyboardist though. But I'll try. I'll give it a go. Yeah, I think whether I like it or not, dude, I'm a musician. Yeah. And that sucks to say. That sucks to say, dude. Because being a musician is gross. I'm gonna cap this video at 10 minutes. Because I pretty much said everything I wanted to say. Ideally, I'd like a keyboardist that can sing. Because that eliminates the need for a designated singer. I don't. I'm really against the idea of a 5-piece band. That's too many sort of moving pieces. You know, a 3-piece won't exactly work because I feel like we'll be short-handed somehow. Because I need a bassist, right? And I need a drummer. So the last sort of person there is the guitarist, and I'm gonna have to be the guitarist. But then I'm not confident. No, well, it's not even a matter of being confident, dude. I just don't desire to be the only guitarist in the band if I'm not gonna have like a keyboardist at least. I wouldn't mind be the only guitarist, like lead electric guitarist in a band. Forget the whole 10-minute thing. As long as I have a pianist, right? Because they can play rhythm stuff while I play lead stuff, and then I can play rhythm stuff while they play rhythm stuff. Plus, you know how piano goes. You can play leads and rhythm at the same time. So maybe when the pianist does that, I can do some atmospheric stuff, which, by the way, would help with filling space in a mix without the need of like additional, you know, sound effects and stuff that we can't recreate or replicate in a live setting. So that would stroke my ego a little bit if we could pull that off, you know. Yeah, because with the piano, dude, the music is bound to sound full because the piano's got, you know, the low end, the high end, the mid range, you know, a lot more prominently than the guitar does because guitar's got low end and mid range and high end as well, right? But piano has it, like keyboard, I should say, has it, you know, to a greater degree in a less imposing kind of way. Because if your guitar has too much low end, you need to cut that back because you need to, you know, leave some space for the bass. But then I feel I don't ever hear dudes talking about how they need to cut the low. The laptop keeps trying to switch itself off. Let me throw on a video. I don't ever hear dudes talking about. Then again, I don't really listen to too many dudes who incorporate keyboard in their music, but I don't hear dudes talking about how they need to cut back on the low end of a piano to make space for the bass. Yeah, I feel like for some reason the low end of the piano doesn't really impose on the space that the low end of a bass guitar occupies. You know, basically what I'm trying to say is the piano's built different. So I think that'd be cool. I really like piano, bro. Sometimes whenever I'm fed up, you know, unlike, you know, a couple of hours ago, whenever I'm fed up with guitar or like music in general, or mostly guitar, I'll kind of wish that I picked up a different instrument. I really will have those kind of thoughts. Cause I'll think, dude, everyone plays guitar. I can't even play guitar that well. What the hell am I doing trying to play guitar? Disgusting guitar, you know. I wish I played something else. I wish I played the accordion, or I wish I played the piano or bass guitar at least, or drums, or something other than lame guitar. Then obviously there'll come days where I'm a bit more enthusiastic about whatever it is that I'm playing on my guitar, and in a better mood about the stuff that I'm playing, and just playing music in general. By the way, I feel like my moods wouldn't be so all over the place if I was in a group. Because right now I kind of play the roles of, I don't know, the bass guitar, the rhythm guitarist, the bass guitarist, rhythm guitarist, lead guitarist, by myself. And drummer, I guess, with like the percussion and stuff that I'll do on the strings as a means of keeping the tempo, I guess, even though I don't really consider tempo. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I'll try to fulfill the roles of all these people in the band, all these, you know, roles in the band by myself. So that, as you can imagine, is frustrating because there'll be a point where I'll be writing a riff, right? And then I'll realize that it's quite impractical, at least for my, you know, my prowess. It's impractical for me to try to pull this chord off because essentially what I'm trying to do with this chord is I'm trying to play the low string all the while playing high end strings and stuff, whereas Had I been in the group, the bassist would just play the low end note and then I'll just play the high end notes. You know what I mean? So I guess it's stuff like that that kind of, I guess, subconsciously frustrates me. Because I'll walk away thinking, oh man, I couldn't pull off that one thing that I wanted to do. Not considering the fact that the thing that you wanted to do could be pulled off by a full band and not just you. Should be pulled off by a full band and not just you. So I'll catch myself in those um situations where I'll just try to do so much at once musically when it's just absolutely unnecessary to go about it in that way. You know? Yeah. Cool. I think I said everything that I wanted to say. Potentially. If I'm gonna pull off this band, I'm gonna have to move to a major city like Johannesburg or Cape Town or whatever. I'm gonna have to do it. And I've been looking at moving to a major city anyway, mostly Johannesburg, because I need something fresh, eh? I need something fresh. Even though Johannesburg has a lot of bullshit, I think it'd be cool. Though being there is just gonna remind me of that one girl, and that's gonna suck. I'll be a man about it. So I'm guessing I can call this video. No, I can't exactly call it um a band in Jersey, because I don't really speak about Jersey a whole lot. I just kind of touched on it towards the end of the video. Maybe I should call it the part two, because I can't just call one video part one and then I never come out with a part two. Yeah, I would really love to be in a band, dude. Gig a couple of times a year, perform a couple of times, get together, just be a band, do band things, whatever it is that a band does, we do that, and make lifelong friends in the process. That's what I want. That's the purpose. I feel like if you're gonna try to start a band, the number one thing you need to think about is not the genre, not the style, not the aesthetic, just not the fun stuff about being a band. It's the purpose. That's the number one thing you need to think about. Because I realized this whenever, and I spoke about this whenever buddies of mine would who played music would call me over to quote unquote jam. I realized that purpose is the number one thing. Because what do you mean we're jamming? What are we doing? I get we're having fun, right? I get we're having fun. But music isn't like Call of Duty, bro. Music isn't like playing on your PlayStation 5. There's this sort of we need to address something. It's not as easy as just booting up the Xbox and then playing and then leaving. You need to ask yourself what are we doing? You know, at least that's my opinion. Especially since a lot of the material that we do jam whenever we jam is original, you know, like improvised. Yeah, original. What's the intention? It never leads anywhere. It never leads anywhere with buddies and stuff because they're just looking to have fun. But obviously, when you have a guy who's as driven as me on board, driven in the sense of being in a musical band, right? Those kind of thoughts, pop up, they emerge. So yeah, I need to make it clear. I need to make it clear that I need to make the intentions of the band clear. And the intentions of the band are, and obviously I'm not going to be a dictator if anyone in the band wants to, amend or build on the intentions of the band to a degree where everyone else is on board with those amendments, they can do so. The last thing I'd want is to have quote unquote my band. I want a band where all of the members can say that this is my band or like this is our band. I don't want it to be Widdis and the gang. That's the last thing I want. So the, as far as I can see, the intentions of a hypothetical band of mine would be to do band things. Number one, to do band things. That entails, getting together, rehearsing, practicing, writing material, performing material, recording material. You know, getting our material out there. Just doing band things, taking cool pictures, that's part of it. That's the fun part. That's one of the fun parts. Taking cool pictures, being lifelong friends. Being each other's musical outlets, being a band, everything that has to do with being a band. That being a band. So if it does happen that we become profitable, sure, we'll give that a go. but we're not heading into being a band with that in mind. You get bands that are, you know, amateurs in the sense that they're not professionals. They don't do it for a living. And you get bands that are professionals. They do it for a living. They eat off of it, right? The main thing would just have to be being a band, getting together whenever we're free to make cool music. That's the main intention. And I know I said, like earlier, I said that the last thing I want is to sort of have the group be my band and not everyone's band. One thing I do realize is that someone's gonna have to be the leader. Someone's gonna have to take initiative when it comes to a majority of the band's activities and the coming together, the initial coming together of the band. And seeing as I'm the guy starting it, I guess that's gonna have to be me. I'm gonna have to be the coordinator. But then I need to tread lightly, because the last thing I want to do is make it seem as though I'm some controller or some dictator. Make it seem as though it's my bad. No, it's not my bad. I might be the front man, even though I don't really like the idea of being a front man, but it's not about what I like right now. It's about getting it done. Also, you can be the front man without being the behind the scenes, driving force for the band. So I guess I misspoke there. The driving force would be the guy, making sure that everything is functioning as it should. Yeah, to sort of build on what I said in the previous video, if we start calling, being creative selfish, then we can, extend that to life itself. Living is selfish, because you're breathing air that someone else could be breathing. You're consuming resources that someone else could be consuming. So you can really take it there. So I feel like it's not really fair, I guess, to sort of think that way. It's not very nice. It's not very aspirational. Is that a word? It's not very aspiring. Okay, I'm gonna end the video here now. I've got 4 minutes left of recording space. Yeah, I said everything I wanted to say. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you in the next one.